sure a lot of people know that in the 90s there's a big boom of EDM that still carries on to this day. House, gabber, happy hardcore, and trance. Those are the biggest genres I can name off the top of my head that were in their prime in the 90s. Not to mention all the cool art used alongside the music. The flyer and poster art for these genres are the coolest thing ever to me. The psychedelic appropriations of random cartoon characters promoting a concert you wish you could have attended. The beautifully airbrushed illustrations that makes art you see on the side of a carnival ride blush. Have you ever wanted to play a game akin to that sort of art music? Well, you're in luck. London, 1991. A small UK multimedia group named Hex was formed. They were primarily doing music and visual tech demos to push that era of at-home computers to the limit of what can be done. They primarily worked on computers such as Amiga, Acorn Archimedes, keep that name in mind, and the Philips CD. If you like house or ambient music, I highly recommend their stuff. An offshoot of their group was Psycore, which specializes in making computer games. I will use both names interchangeably because of key members of Hex also worked in Psycore. Their names will pop up later on. The group is mostly known for the game Top Banana, but everyone and their grandmother has covered that, let's be serious. It's just boring, uninspired commentary that should have died out years ago. I recommend checking out a video that covers the game in its entirety in the description. The group made that's right, count them, three games. Their first being Revolver, a rotating puzzle game with only the mouse as your control. I haven't had time to sit down and play this. I am unsure what the windscreen looks like, but one day I'll record a playthrough. The second game being Top Banana, if my dates are lining up. A platformer adventure with really strange visuals. Even strange for a guy like me who loves weirder titles. Something about saving the earth from environmental pollution and corruption. The theming is kinda lost on me, but hey, it has a really good music video. Okay, I know what you're here for. Big Bang, the strange jump and run platformer I've dedicated an unhealthy amount of time to. I basically went on a journey to get this game to play on my laptop. Had a good friend of mine fix the emulator for me to run the game. You're probably wondering, how did I even find this? It was actually a Vinesauce stream. The same stream with this infamous clip, actually.
Super Mario 2! Yahoo!
Why is it skipping?
Yahoo!
Joel plays a Windows demo of Big Bang briefly before turning it off. This caused a neuron activation in my head. This is where it all started for me. I wanted to learn everything about this horrid acid clown vomit being displayed on my screen. Like a train wreck, I could not peel my eyes away. It wasn't truly disgust per se. It was mostly fascination and the need to dissect it in all its glory. I learned little about the game from the gameplay online that was available. I asked friends about helping me find a proper emulator or sandbox to run the game. MS-DOS was a bust for me, but we did get something working. Arculator, an emulator for the Acorn Archimedes. It was tricky to get a working version, something to do with Sparkplug. I'm not really a tech-savvy person, but hey, the emulator works. All of my resources will be posted down in the description. Let's start with the premise of the game.
In the core of deep space is a Y-class planet known as Trisula Ultra, a world populated with industrious inhabitants enjoying a comfortable free lifestyle. A breakaway faction has developed, set on disrupting the peace and stability. They have evolved a new kind of science, enabling them to build a super defense shield which will make them invincible. In order to construct this, they need to find a curious array of objects located across this strange planet. Jellyhead, a special volunteer from the group, takes on this hazardous mission. Unfortunately, there is a little problem. The existing powers know of this cunning plan and have dispatched their own formidable agent, Dr. Subtech Plus. This most positive agent needs to reach the objects first to thwart the schemes of the negative faction. Confident of success, they will then be rid of this irritating breakaway group and can restore the planet back to normal. These two sides have opposite ways of looking at the world, and everything appears back to front to the other. Who is going to win? Which side are you on?
Fair enough. You basically play as these alien clowns from differing factions of their planet. Something about a radical group making a force field? I can barely make sense of it myself, even after all this time. You can play as Jellyhead, who's apparently part of the radical group, or Subtech, who's defending home. I always assumed Subtech was the bad guy, but apparently it's Jellyhead. By the way, if you play as Subtech, the levels are mirrored. It's a race against who collects all of the items for the force field. You can play the stages in whatever order. The only thing that matters is collecting the object in the last level of each stage, or you'll get a mission fail screen and have to start over. I learned this the hard way missing an object in Splatter. Okay, now how does the game play? Let's lay out some rules and notes. Hopefully this will make the game easier to understand. Your main goal is to beat all stages while collecting the object on the final level of the stage. Let's call them trinkets moving forward. You can also rank up a high score via collecting teddy bears. You have a meter for how many teddies you collect. It serves as both your ammo to shoot teddies out and health. You die instantly without collecting points. You can take one hit, but it depletes all your teddies as a downside. It sounds punishing, but the enemies are easy to kill via stomping on them like a certain plumber.
No.
You start off with 3 lives. Collecting more is pretty scarce. There's also these rabbits that give you a hefty amount of teddies. So when you run out of large teddies to pop, there's these things. The rabbits are also placed strategically. This will matter when I explain more important level segments. You see these? These are teleporters. They take you to different parts across the level. There are also checkpoints within the level. If you die, you'll spawn at the last teleporter you touched. Hopefully for stages like Garden. I prefer calling the set of levels stages. So for every stage there's 3 levels. We have 5 stages, so it's 15 levels we gotta clear. Some levels have hidden shortcuts you can find by hugging the walls and clipping through. Despite the primitive nature of all this, some things feel intentional in the grand picture. Shortcuts, different paths. I mean, come on, give the guy some credit, even if it's years after the fact. There are 3 kinds of levels. The first is your standard platformer level. Run to the goal at the end. In some cases, you'll have to find a key in order to open the exit area. Second is a more maze-like level. Though for all level designs, they're already pretty maze-like. The way to tell them apart is that you'll find yourself either descending or ascending on the bigger levels instead of going left to right. The final level types are what most people, me and the 5 other people who have played this, dub chase levels. Your opposing party will chase after you. You are given a head start of about 5 seconds before the other character is released. It's not actually a chase since the AI just copies all your movements and delays it by a few seconds. It makes messing up or hitting a dead end rather tense. Despite your health, if the other guy catches you, it's an instant death. Be light on your feet. As for enemies, we have quite the cast. Enemies who move left to right for little to long distances. These are your standard enemies. Easy to deal with, you can just stomp on them. Then there's the anvils who once they see you will lock on and follow you until they collide into you. These also have a chance of spawning when cracking open a giant teddy head. Best thing to do is to gain some distance between you and the anvil so it's low enough to stomp on. These are a pain, you'll see later. The pillows, who are like thwomps, they hang from the ceiling waiting to jump on you. You can't kill them, so just bait them out. If the pillows are set near hills, run through. The slip will make you outrun the pillow. Then there's the guns. They may look like a normal enemy, but be vigilant. Every couple seconds it will shoot out a bullet in an arch. Depending on where you are, get out of its range. Time your jumps, because it will hurt you if you don't get the jump on it first. One last thing to note are the pickups. Of course, there's lives, but there's also effect pickups. The invincibility fish is helpful. I love using these when dealing with lava pits or gun enemies by running through them. But make sure it's green, the red ones hurt you. The smiley face and moons are only for aesthetic. They change the palette for the level. Smileys are the normal palette. Moons are for the 2 nighttime palettes. Lastly are the teardrops. Avoid these. They make it so you can't see the ground beneath you. Considering the game consists of a lot of jumping, just avoid these. If you do run into one, find another pickup to undo the effect. Even another teardrop. So that's the game. Run around, collect teddies, stomp some enemies, run for your life. Simple, right? Wrong! Like Plock, you only have one go of the game in one sitting. No save states, no continues. We raw dog it, because this is a 30-year-old game we're talking about here. However, since I'm nice, I'm really too nice, I can give the following advice and strategies. For the mentally sane, we play the game by easiest levels and stages. So here's how it goes. Surfer, Technoid, Splat, Garden, and Gothos. Going about the game like this will be able to get you over 10 lives, even if the counter doesn't show that. Top Banana has a similar bug like this. So when you enter the harder stages, you'll have more room for small mistakes. That way, final levels won't be so stressful. You'll get to explore more. There's something oddly beautiful about certain spots in the game, like for instance this weird smiley face in Jungle Dome. It's just off to the side of the final jump to the trinket. It feels intentional. There's just something about the little areas that don't serve progression. Calm spots void of enemy or danger. I guess they serve as a good spot to pause at, since that's a function. There's all sorts of paths you can take. If you figure out the floaty physics, these chrome balls can be used to jump. Holding down the jump button can send you further. In the beginning of Flutterby, there's an alternative path using these, reaching the rabbit for points much faster, but there's an anvil waiting for you on this path. It's risky, but rewarding. If you ever do play the game, just take your time to look around. Maybe you'll find more rooms than I did. I know for sure in Gothic Pit, the first level of Gothos, there's a weird stop near the beginning of the exit path that looks like a room to the side. Splat through this approach lets you get lost without pressure. It seems a lot of players never got to finish the first level due to how vague the clues were. You're supposed to descend down through the right side. See these lava traps? You only need to trigger the label trap. But if you need more platforms to jump, trigger 3. Just keep running when activating traps like this. By descending down, you gotta stand on the tip of this hill and wait for the platform to come down. A makeshift elevator of sorts. I find that clever. You go down these paths full of enemies to reach a teleporter. Do you know what worm grunting is? Where you bait out earthworms by either stomping or creating enough vibrations on the ground to make them think it's raining? I pretend I'm doing that when baiting out the anvils. Due to their trigger range, you can bait them out and kill them easily. They're a frequent sight all of Splat. The key is in a teddy head on the left side once you tread into the inner layer. Head all the way to the right and find the exit path. I like to think of this level moving like a spiral. Paintbox is a guilty pleasure of mine. It's also a unique chase level. You must keep moving here. If you even idle for a second, a big head of subtech comes down. I also have a funny story about my first time entering this level. It was like 5, almost like 7 in the morning. I was streaming the game to a close friend of mine. We were both half awake. I kept dying because I was tired but didn't want to stop until I beat it. I kept looping the whole level because I couldn't find a teleporter to the key. I felt like a chicken with its head cut off. Didn't beat it that night. Quite literally felt like this the entire time. It's kind of funny to trek up this level, like indoor rock climbing. For this level, you must find a teleporter to reach the necessary key. Something I haven't noted is the weird sizzling effect some levels have. I honestly don't know. Maybe it's an indicator of being in lower sectors of the level. It also slows my frame rate. Kind of annoying. Teleporting here causes a sizzling effect. Maybe it's located at the bottom of the level. Anyways, make it up and collect the key. Once you teleport back to the main level, begin jumping on these floating platforms. There's plenty of these. Try triggering a bunch. If you fall while trying to hit the speaker phones here, they're a good contingency. Polychrome. Oh god, polychrome. This is one of those no one could have ever figured this out levels. From what I've heard, this is the level, besides Gothic Pit, people at the time had the most trouble with. We're back at it again with Worm grunting the anvils out of hiding. And oh my god, there's just several just starting the level. I tried killing all of them first before heading down. I could never count them all. At least like 8 just at the beginning. I'm sure there's easier ways to approach this level, but this is the best advice I can give. Decided to draw a really crude map to demonstrate where I enter and where I wander the most. Keep in mind you have to anticipate the incoming anvils. They're the fastest here. I honestly think it's a form of cruel and unusual punishment. The game absolutely fucking me in the ass more than usual. Haha, just a little joke here. Heading down, I continue straight to the left. That way you find the teleporter to the key room. Here's a hallway of teddies. One of them has the key for the exit path. It's the 5th one last time I checked, if not the 6th. The final head has an extra life, so definitely pop that one. I tried baiting them out before touching the teddies. Teleporting back, head all the way to the left, descend down the spike elevator. There's so much bullshit here. Try getting down on the bottom of of the map before heading right. Keep going till you see these platforms here. The green blocks will lead you to the trinket, which appears to be a painting of a lady. Keep going right till you find these platforms here. Clipping through will get you to the exit path, which is being guarded by a bouncing ball. Technoid is my favorite stage. You could probably see why if you ever play the game yourself. It's straightforward and the easiest next to Surfer. I also found myself beating this stage the first in my early playthroughs. Starting off with MIDI Maze, you're met with 8 different paths. Some lead to dead ends, some are rooms full of enemies. Out of all the paths, only one leads to a key, that being the square with a dent in it. I found the easiest strat is to go down it and jump to the path to the right first, not down. This will lead to a mini-game icon. I used this to immediately get lots of teddies. After, I used the teleporter to head back up, head back to the same path, and continue down until you reach these breakable blocks. Break them. If you're lucky, the invincibility fish is near enough to grab. If not, just stomp on the floor enemies and go under the bouncy balls. Make sure to grab the key before sliding all the way back up. The gate should be open, so go to the squiggly square block on the top right. This will lead to the exit path, and also that troublesome raindrop. I try my best to just squeeze right on by, and there it is. We're gonna skip Technoscape because I can. I want the players to have fun with this one, or you could watch the playthrough video. I am totally not lazy. Jungle Dome was fun to figure out. It was actually the demo level for the 98 release. I had to cross-reference some gameplay online to see what I was doing wrong initially. Half the level is going through pipes. Just keep going till you reach this spot here. Try not to get butchered by the gun. You gotta go down on the left. I kept clipping through the spot that makes the slide go down a bit janky. Once you make it through, go up and reach the teddy here. It'll have the key for the exit. Take the elevator back to the main area. Go down and grab the invincibility fish to deal with the floor and gun enemies before you jump down. Listen, jingle, jingle, jingle. Get the trinket. But where is it? You just gotta keep going to the right and you'll see this array of metal balls. You gotta bounce up them. As I stated earlier, this is the same room with the smiling face. Hooray! Now, heading right, you'll make a leap of faith towards the trinket. I've missed this jump plenty of times. I don't know the timing, honestly. Maybe towards the edge. Afterwards, make it back to the exit path, and then...
Don't listen to the crowd say jump.
Do you like pain?
A question I ask to the people who want to try the game itself. Do you have the patience? Do you want that golden MacGuffin that is the ending? Let's reiterate something here. This is a 30-year-old computer game. No continues, no save states, it's all one go. When it comes to games like this, I put myself in the state of playing through a rage game, though not as punishing. You have plenty of room to breathe, but if you want to see through the end, you gotta brace yourself for the tension. If you did see the playthrough on my channel, you would notice I started the game on the final stage. That was because I wanted to rip the band-aid that is Gothos as soon as possible. As far as I know, Garden and Gothos were the levels that made people give up trying to play the game due to their difficulty. So we approach it in reverse, getting the hardest levels out of the way. Little room for error, but a better payoff. When I want to do high score runs, I do this method. I'm able to collect teddies more by reaching more rabbits and large teddies without pressure after Garden. Gothic Pit is no joke. It took quite a while to master since no one at the time made it past the first level. It was all on me to explore every crevice. Even for being a normal level, it's pretty big. All of the levels of Gothos are vast and desolate. If you thought the other levels were bad, this is the true brain teaser. This place has a lot of dead ends. Some lead to extra points or mini games, but overall, you'll have to descend down past the strange house structure, almost like you're slithering down a hole. The lava pits seem daunting, but your jump is sufficient to trek through. In order to reach the exit path, you must take on the guns guarding the key right here. Having your meter up will help. Taking damage is optional. I just find myself getting skittish is all. So taking a hit and using my iframes to kill all the guns is the safest method. The exit path will open once the key is found. The goal will be under the skull. Again, there's that weird spot I was talking about earlier. It taunts me in a way, as if to distract me from the goal. Dark Motel. My god, Dark Motel. Dark Motel is the second level. Gothos' levels seem to have a theme of descending further and further into madness. I think the name is fitting. Entering rooms, killing all the anvils, reaping the rabbits. It makes me think of that Reaper meme. You know, the one. At the exit path, you'll suddenly have to ascend to the left. I hug the walls to trigger the anvils as soon as possible to get the jump on them. They're real run killers. Look at this. Look what I have to do right now. I kinda like how the ending path looks. It's almost reminiscent of Gygus. But then again, you kinda just see the tile set. It's almost bloody, besides the black and purple going on. Ghost Train. The most elusive level in the game. When I first reached this level, it was scary. The comments about this game being a creepypasta before creepypastas is so right. That's the only witty thing the comments were able to say. You get a little gold star for that one. Being a chase level with the biggest map in the game sounds like it'll give you leeway. It sure didn't feel that way. Even with looping around, the parts where you have to break down the walls with your meter are dreadful. There are so many anvils. I think it almost rivals Polychrome. The rabbits definitely help, but you will be swarmed by anvils. Ghost Train for a name makes sense. You make so many winding turns, but when you're finally in the clear, after so many tight turns, it's almost like seeing light at the end of a tunnel when you finally teleport to the trinket room. I don't know the significance of the trinkets. Besides gardens, it's just Katie, but this ominous looking totem Olmec stands out to me. Once you find the trinket though, you have to make your way back to the exit room for the goal. Just great. That totally didn't make me fumble the first time around. I wish I had the footage for that. We're not quite done yet, ladies and gentlemen. We still have to tackle Garden, which becomes far more of a pain in the ass. All of its levels have tedious layouts and enemy placements that make it easy to die. Starting off with a chase level after surviving all of Gothos is not for the faint of heart. Right off the bat, there's 2 paths you can take, and we're gonna take the hardest one. Going up is tricky with the platforms. No use of the bouncy balls, but the elevator platforms can be used the same way by waiting for the highest point and jumping. Taking the harder route is my go-to regardless of method. Because of the one-up waiting for you as a reward, you also end up taking the same paths, so a little gamble doesn't hurt. Blossoms has a lot of leaps of faith. You can imagine my dismay of not knowing where the exit path is. Where could it possibly be? Yes! Yes! The wall you can clip through that gives you no signs or clues. Of course! That's definitely one of the few of those no one could have figured this out kind of things. I'll give people that. Garden Path is a freebie kind of level. You also get to mess around with the mirror ability. I didn't talk about it in the effects session, but it literally just mirrors the map. Garden Path is just full of these. My strat is to just run to the far left and making your way up. That way, you travel back to the center by reaching the top. That way, when you're near the goal, you can find a life in this little cubby area and clip through. Because this map is mirrored, there are 2 keys and 2 lives you can collect. Thankfully, you just need 1 key, but I like collecting the extra life here, just in case. And then comes Mountain. I honestly think the way I do this level is pretty sloppy. This is another one of those levels where I want people to experience themselves. Maybe you'll find a better approach than me juggernauting my way to the exit. Keep track of the teleporters, mind the anvils, and pretend you're trekking up a mountain. You don't need the key for the exit path on this one, which is rather surprising. It's for a platform in the middle, which is just so strange. This is a rather pretty level, actually. The nighttime palette makes me think of the skybox for Wet Dry World. Most people feel dread from that sort of thing, but I just find a sense of tranquility, solace, a seldom moment to recuperate once you reach the top. That's that. If you're wondering about Surfer, it's relatively easy. I believe anyone who tries out the game can figure it out, as it's the beginning stage. I feel like I'm in a hamster cage, since the texture is reminiscent of sand and stone, but in my head it becomes wood shavings. Does that make sense? Yeah! Now that we've collected all the trinkets and beat all the levels, what's our reward for our tiresome quest?
That's it? That's the last episode? That was just a bunch of cheap walk cycles! What a rip!
You made it this far. Congrats. You either put this on for background noise while drawing or working, or you actually wanted to hear what I wanted to say. Either answer is fine in the grander picture. I'm glad regardless, but you're probably wondering why. Why do I care so much about this? What is so special about a simple game that it seems only I can see the beauty in it? I guess it's a passion. I really have been meaning to make and put this video out for like 4 years. I just didn't have the equipment or programs at the time. If you really want an honest answer, it was spite, because that certain YouTuber, the few times this game is being talked about and it's barely playing the game itself and shitting on it to meet a video quota. I promise you there are worse games out there. Take for example Cycloids, Charlie the Clown, 2097 BC. Those are far more scrappy compared to Big Bang. Maybe those would make for interesting dissections, but that makes me a bitter asshole who wants to one-up the bare minimum of mediocre content. I'd rather turn my frustration into something more positive. Teach and tell people something instead of complaining. If you don't like a game, that's fine. At least get your information right. If making a 10-minute video of a game you barely gave a chance to nets you over 20k views, then shit dude, I might as well just throw away my own dignity and do the same to pay my bills. If only it was that fucking easy. I hope that through this video, people can learn something cool. Check out the game and see if you find anything yourself like I did. Despite being a whopping 800 kilobytes, there's plenty to see. And if the game isn't your speed, check out the music made by Hex. See their other games or visual demos. It's a fun and zany part of computer and music history that doesn't get talked about enough. Amiga and Acorn computers have so many gems you could find yourself. If you want something outside of Psycore, I highly recommend stuff like the Turrican series or Twin World, as well as some other games. I'll post my resources down in the description. I made a Google Drive of all you could want. The emulator I used, the games and demos I've collected, even some programs to dissect files with. Credits go to Gerald Heraldsworth. He's the one who made those programs for retro floppy disks. Addendum. Some stuff I couldn't fit to the rest of the end. Editor, destroy the entire addendum section. Yup. We're gonna have to remodel all of this. Some stuff I couldn't fit to the rest of the end. I highly recommend reading the art book for Hex. It helped so much with piecing together the timeline for me. You can buy a physical like I did, but the site lets you read the full thing. Something I find odd is that Big Bang is omitted from this book. Perhaps Robert Pepperell didn't have much of a hand in its creation compared to Top Banana. Either way, it's an amazing read with beautiful pieces of work inside. Maybe someone can put it on archive.org. Just a suggestion. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There's actually an archive of Hex's old site listing all their works, but the book covers more things and you get some very delightful insight into the behind the scenes. It was also after I got through the initial script that I find a small documentary of Hex on Addendum 2's channel. It mostly talks about Top Banana and the Philips CD visual demo. He was primarily responsible for Big Bang and the other 2 games in Psycore's library. I would like to thank Miles Visman for letting me email him a year or so ago. He was primarily responsible for Big Bang and the other 2 games in Psycore's library, alongside Robert Pepperell and Carol Dander. I didn't learn much, but it was very nice chatting with him. He made a couple games after Hex disbanded under the moniker Pom Pom Games. I got sent 2 of them, Space Tripper and Mutant Storm. They're quite nice actually. They remind me of Xbox arcade games. While making this video, some updates happened. For starters, I was sent sprite rips and source code from the game, something I really wanted to complete my collection for all of the Hex games. I had a fellow by the name of Gyrominiac exchange emails with me about him asking around reverse engineering communities for old computers. He sent over sprite rips for Big Bang. He also sent the method of decrypting those pesky compact discs. I am so grateful for this surprise. It also has maps from the game, so my ramblings about Polychrome will definitely have better visuals to help people understand. These sprites and the application will be in the Google Drive by then, so that's one thing I wanted solved before I uploaded the video. And guess what? After that, Gyrominiac discovered the full DOS release of Big Bang. Holy fuck. I thought it wasn't real, but it is. He found it in an old file sharing site within a Techno 97 disk. After this video gets out, I will hopefully have a recording of a playthrough. So everyone, say thank you to Gyrominiac for his search. He was very swell to talk to in emails. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Tooner, and I probably won't make another video like this ever again. Bye-bye!